During the pandemic, the Asian community has seen an increase in housing evictions, foreclosures, and housing discrimination. In response, Asian Americans Advancing Justice Los Angeles is offering free legal one-on-one advice, not only in English, but in specific languages, including Tagalog, Mandarin, Korean, Vietnamese, and many more. Here with all of the details is Supervising Attorney Charles Evans. Welcome, Charles. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is a wonderful project that the organization is doing. Can you tell us a little bit more?
Thank you. I'd be glad to. And thank you for having me on. As you said, there's been an unfortunate uptick in anti-Asian discrimination, and that's manifested in a lot of different ways. And one of the more troubling ways is in regard to housing. There is a moratorium on some kinds of evictions going on right now, but that hasn't stopped some landlords from being a little creative in trying to oust tenants that they just don't want. And because a lot of the anti-Asian rhetoric that's been passed around, there's a lot of people from various East Asian, Pacific Island communities who are the first on the list to be targeted by these landlords who are trying to unfairly remove them. They sometimes rely on tactics as simple as harassment, trying to bother the tenants until they just voluntarily leave, to making up fake excuses for why they might be considered in breach of contract, to being extra creative and maybe claiming that the landlord is the victim and trying to get a restraining order that would leave the tenant no option other than either stay in their home forever or move out.
Wow.
So what we've done is we've tried to reach out to the community to let people know that we're available to help them in this situation. And we're starting a series of once-a-month clinics where people who are facing these kinds of problems or other related problems to housing, whether it's related to home ownership or renting or trying to rent, or they're facing other kinds of barriers and trying to participate in economically so they can stay in their homes. So we have these clinics where people who are facing these problems can go and meet with a one-on-one with an attorney virtually in this environment. So they can talk about their problems and get some advice on the best way to handle it.
And as I mentioned earlier, if English isn't your first language, or if you prefer to speak a different language, such as Tagalog, Mandarin, or Korean, you offer services in language as well. Is that right?
That is correct. We have dedicated staff on several languages, and then we have services that assist us in helping others. So if you check out our flyer, it lists specific phone lines to call if you speak any one of those several languages, including Tagalog. And even if you don't speak one of those languages, there's an extra line where you can contact, and we can still provide in-language service for one of those other languages that's not specifically listed if you call that other line.
That's wonderful. Now, can we call whenever we want?
The clinics start on February 9th, but if you're interested in attending the clinics, people should contact us soon because we still need to make sure that the person's problem is appropriate for the clinic. And if it's something that's urgent that can't wait for the clinic, we'd like to connect them with some kind of service that way they can get help immediately. I would also like to point out that while our clinics are geared towards legal service, there is a social service connection as well. If people who are contacting us need help connecting with other services around the community, whether it's like food stamps or medical assistance or things of that sort, we have resources that will also help them get connected with those services, in addition to getting legal counsel.
Thank you, Charles. Now we have a website that we can check out. We also have numbers that we can call. Is there anything else that we need to do?
It always helps for people to have the information about their problem handy. And obviously, our services are primarily geared toward people who really can't afford to hire an attorney on their own. So if you could have that information handy, it streamlines the process so that way we can get people help as quickly as possible.
Thank you again, Charles, for taking the time to chat with us today and sharing this very important project that Asian Americans Advancing Justice Los Angeles is hosting for our Asian community, especially those whose first language is not English or people who are more comfortable speaking in their native language. I hope it's the first of many.
No, thank you for bringing attention to this. I really appreciate it.